Hello friends, this is Kish again on a slightly controversial topic possibly, but logical though, which again very few people are raising such questions. I don't know, everybody is just following the herd. So the topic for today is, do masks, social distancing and lockdowns really stop the coronavirus? And the minute you hear that, you're going to jump up and say, what? How dumb are you to even ask such a question, right? So again, I'm not a epidemiologist, I'm not a whatever PhD in biology or nothing to do with that. I'm just a normal scientific thinking engineer who looks at the data, right? And my conclusions or my observations, my things are all going to be driven by data, not by scientific theories or biological theories about how the virus spreads and all these kind of things that we hear from the media. Just let's look at the data and see what the data tells us. Do masks, social distancing and lockdowns are the only solutions really that we have been prescribed ever since the start of the pandemic as the way to prevent this, as the way to stop the spread of this? Of course, there are treatments like whatever vaccination which came later, remdesivir and whatnot. I don't know, give oxygen when things get bad, or just home quarantine and all that stuff. But let's analyze the data and see if these solutions prescribed to us, which the entire world is following, not just one or two people, right? The whole world, except maybe some places like Russia and China where we really don't know what's going on inside. I don't know how they're following or what they're doing, and they say the counts are low, but nobody really knows. Apart from these kind of people, at least the rest of the world is following these things very, very diligently. And there have been European countries have gone into multiple lockdowns, not one or two, right? Months long lockdown repeatedly for 3 or 4 times. Luckily in the United States we have had that type of a full nation lockdown only once. Similarly in India, so far it's been only once. In other states, local people might have done more lockdowns, but at least nationally there have been only one. And Brazil probably never did any, and one or two European countries too never did any, like Sweden, I guess. So, but let's try to see what the data tells us, right? So if lockdown is the solution, is the only solution to bring the virus down, then in Texas we have not done any lockdown since the first national lockdown that happened from March 2020 to about May or June 2020. But Texas has gone through 2 or 3 waves since, right? We had a wave in July, we had a wave in September or October, November, the most recent waves. So, and Texas is a large state. This is not a small population that we are talking about. It's the second largest state in United States, after California. So in a large population, we have not had any lockdowns since the first one, which was a national one. And we have lived through couple of waves already. And yes, there have been cases have risen, there have been deaths and all that, no question. But it is not comparable to anything like a California or a New York or even Michigan that's going on right now. So, so was it lockdown that brought down the virus in Texas? You can say that's what did it in California, because they were in a lockdown in these waves, but Texas wasn't. So what brought down the virus? So was it lockdown? I don't know. You tell me. Similarly, on mask mandates and social distancing, Texas has removed the mask mandate and social distancing since about, I guess, a month ago or so. So there are no restrictions anymore. Everything's open. But there is no big surge in Texas, while in Michigan, probably more things are even in lockdown, right? And they've been in lockdown forever, I guess. The cases are surging and at an all-time high. So what is causing? And Michigan is a cold place, where it's kind of middle of nowhere type of country, whereas Texas, everybody wants to move here. So there is people flooding in from New York and California and all over the place all the time in Texas, right? And so I'm not saying nobody goes to Michigan, but it's not as rampant in terms of people going there, and it's a smaller population, way smaller. So why is the virus so rampant in Michigan with many things locked down, and not at all or almost zero in Texas with everything open and no masks? Right? So this is a question that needs to be asked. So does it mean, I'm not saying don't stop wearing mask and stop doing social distancing from tomorrow, but at some point we're going to have to start questioning. Another example for you is, say, the COVID outbreak in India. Right? If you look at the data again, so there was a national lockdown even in India between, say, March to June, July, and then slowly during that time, sure, the virus did not spread a lot, so you can say lockdown stopped it for a while. But as soon as the lockdown was removed, the cases started going up all the way till about September, right? So from July, August, whatever, September, the cases were up. But despite that, things were opening up. People were roaming freely. Hardly, very few people or just some amount of people wore masks. There was no social distancing, not much really. In a country like India, it's even very hard to do something like that. But despite all that, magically in September, the virus, the wave ended or receded. And over time, within a month or so, in October, November, there was no cases or very few cases of coronavirus reported in India. So suddenly, with everything open, all doing great, the wave of the virus came down. So how is that? Without social distancing, without lockdown, without masks, right? You would think that when these are not followed, it would be a massive surge. And same way, since November all the way till about now, which is March, April, in India, everything was open. People were roaming around freely, and even they started forgetting about that there is a pandemic or a virus out there in the world. And things were going on smoothly, without any issues, even in January, probably even at least till mid of February. So when the second wave hit, there was really no change in the behavior of people, say probably from December to February, March time frame. It was the same kind of people, same kind of behavior, everything the same kind when the second wave started in India. So what caused the first wave to suddenly come down without lockdown, without masks, without social distancing, practiced like religiously across the board? And what caused the wave to go up again suddenly in March with no change in behavior patterns or nothing of that sort? So again begs the question, I'm just asking the question. I don't know, I'm not a scientist in this field. I'm just an engineer looking at the data. So does mask, social distance and lockdown really prevent corona, or is this virus something that kind of it has a life or a active period of its own? So during that active period, it spreads no matter what you try to do, lockdowns and every kind of thing. But once that active period is over, then suddenly it drops on its own, the spread of the virus. And then whenever that thing starts again, which we don't know, we thought it was the weather, we thought it was the moisture and indoor versus outdoor, and all kinds of theories have come up, but nobody really knows, right? And you see, if lockdown was the solution, let's take the most recent wave, the most dangerous and the one that probably killed the most people back in, which started around November, right around the election in the United States, and went on till about January. So this wave was pretty national wave, right? It wasn't just in a few states. Like in California, they had imposed a lockdown, but in Texas, there was no lockdown. But when the cases started dropping around the time Biden was inaugurated, the cases dropped across the board, across all of the US. It wasn't like cases only dropped in California because they had a lockdown and did not drop in Texas because they didn't have a lockdown. Nothing like that. When it dropped in California, it dropped in Texas too. So how can you say that lockdown had got anything to do with this? So if that were the case, it would only drop in places where there was a lockdown, not in the places where there was no lockdown, right? That would be the logical conclusion of a logical person looking at the data, right? So again, I don't know. I cannot draw conclusions, but the logic tells me that whatever these people have told us does not seem to gel and does not seem to be making sense based on the data that is out there. So this does not mean you start, throw your mask and start, going into the crowds tomorrow. That's not my objective of this video. But at least you have to start questioning, if not anything, the logic of the lockdowns at least, because this causes massive economic damage to any place that does that, which will take years probably, to recover from it. Though they talk of pent up demand and whatnot in the news, which I don't believe. Yes, there will be some amount of pent up demand, but it's not going to fill and replace all the things that have been destroyed and that have been impacted by the lockdowns, right? So that is something which clearly ought to be questioned and had to be studied more in detail. How is it that without lockdown, the wave ended in Texas, in India, in many such places? So has lockdown really got to do anything with the waves ending, or is it just the behavior of the virus? So even if you don't question mask and social distancing, definitely this is something that ought to be questioned. Hope my video has raised your thoughts and eyebrows, and you have started thinking, does it really make sense, or just so we stop just blindly accepting whatever these people tell us, the so-called experts, because we have to also verify whether the facts line up with the theories that they give us, because we can't be like the Europeans who blindly follow this and have gone into repeated national lockdowns, and even though after they have gotten a vaccine, because in small European countries with hardly minuscule populations ought to be able to vaccinate in no time. But America has vaccinated 100 million people. Why can't like a UK or a France or Italy, which is even smaller, I guess, be able to vaccinate majority of its people? I don't know why they continue to go into lockdowns. So in any case, so do we need to do that across the globe? Because I'm not sure that the pandemic is over, though there has been massive vaccination in many places like the United States. We have so many mutants and whatnot. So this may hit us again. So we need to start thinking at least now, is lockdown the right solution, or what is the better solution? And do we just follow blindly whatever the other people have been doing, or do we think differently and act differently? So hope this has provoked your thought. Please give me your comments. If you like it, hit the like button, share with all your friends who are interested in this topic, which should be the whole world now, with everyone suffering, with this damn virus. And also share and write your comments as well. If you have anything, if you think, agree with me, disagree, anything of whatever you feel about it. Thank you. Bye now.